Hello, welcome back to the channel. I am playing with this gorgeous paper range today. You get 3 sheets of each design, and I just love the colors. I love them. They're so pretty, and you've got the cutter parts there, which we will use. I've got another video coming up and we'll use that more. Today I'm going to make a tent fold card. Now, this is the embossed die cuts that are just gorgeous. They're just my colors. I love them. I had so much fun playing with these. A tent fold card is going to be using the front of a standard card, but it's a top fold card. So it's a half of an A4 cut straight down the middle. This piece of cardstock is, I'm going to tell you in inches, but it's also going to be on my blog in centimeters. This is 4 1/8 by 4 3/4, and along the 4 3/4 size, I am scoring at 5/8, 1 1/2, 2 3/8, 3 1/4, and 4 1/8. This little piece is, I'm going to call the flap, and it is 1 1/2 by 2 8/16, scored along down the short side at just 3/4, straight down the middle, basically. So I'm going to fold these up and make it concertina. So which is going to basically valley, mountain, valley, mountain. Now, if you don't know, you can see the first one is mountain because it goes up. Next one goes down, valley. I have a piece of cardstock that I've trimmed, piece of paper that I've trimmed to 10.14.4. Now you're going to need 2 of these in different designs if you so wish. This is the Paper Rose Stitched Rectangles die. That one is too big. Now you could go a lot smaller because you'll see why in a little bit, but I wanted it a little bit long, so it was fine with me. This is going to be a wedding card for my cousin who's getting married in England. So, you know, you do you, boo. It's all good. I have some glue here, and I'm going to adhere this concertina part down before we add the paper. That way it's going to hide a good chunk of it. You just make sure it is flush with the edge of the cardstock. So that is going to be my backing. Now you do see it from angles, but of course you can just leave it plain if you so wish. Now you can see here my concertina part is showing. That's okay. As I said, you can make it a smaller hole and do fine. I'm trimming down my flap just to make sure that I can't see that flap, because I don't want to see that in the middle, in the front of this panel. My little fold, my little flap here is going to be glued in the center. Now I just eyeballed it. You don't have to be precise, but you do want it up flush with the top of the panel. And all you need to do is close up your card and glue that baby down. Now he is a little bit tight, but there's also a very thick cardstock and paper, but it moves and it's fine. We'll glue him down. The last thing I'm going to do once this is all adhered is glue my concertina part down. Now, I think I mentioned it, but I'm going to mention again. If you went a smaller die in front, you're going to have more of a free-flowing little flap, but I'm happy with this. And I loved this and how this looked, and it stood out a little bit forward. You'll see in a sec. I just loved it. That was my thing. So I have die cut 3 of these and glued them down together. At this point, I needed a little bit more color, so I've brought in some gold shimmer cardstock from Paper Rose, and it's super thick and it's really lovely. And it's not glossy, it's matte. I'm just trying to figure out what I'm doing with my bottle of wine and my glass, and I've got a little tiny bouquet included with this. So you don't need, because you're doing a little fun fold, you don't need too much bling. because the interest is the whole card and how it sits and how it moves. So I've glued my little champagne bottle, and this is just going to be flat, and I'm just going to use the champagne bottle. Sorry for that. I have added a little bit of foam on the back of my glass, so you only see a little bit of the flowers, but I just wanted him, if you look on the side, I just wanted something, I didn't want to stick a plonk, a glass of champagne, and that was that. It didn't feel finished. So I've adhered my gold love. I bent my little E a tiny bit, but you're not going to see him. I'm going to adhere these down. Now I'm going to show you a sentiment out of a new range. Now, a little bit later in the video when I do the second card, I remember I haven't shown you, so you'll have a bit more of a look. So this is the happy wedding day. There's lots of little ones in this. This set is the Stacked Sentiments 1. And it has the coordinating dies that go with it, but it also has the stamps are, I'll show you very shortly, but you have a lot of smaller stamps of like happy birthday, thinking of you, with sympathy, and so happy for you, and that sort of stuff. But it comes with a die that will cut all those out in one foul swoop. So you have a few sentiments and you can pick and match what you want to do. So this is the one I was talking about. So happy wedding day with a thanks, celebrate. And then you've got the thank you, and then you've got the sending one that is also, all have their matching dies. So this next card, I just thought for a quick and simple little thank you, because not that I'm doing thank you cards for the wedding, but I just thought it would be nice. So I'm going to stamp this, and I'm going to emboss it with gold embossing powder, and it cuts out beautifully, stamps beautifully and cuts out beautifully. You're gonna see more of these stamp sets. There is a fourth one. Off the top of my head, I can't think what is on it, but I don't have it yet. Yet being the word. It's just, I love them. I'm so excited. So we've stamped that down. I did stamp it 2 times because it's stamped out beautifully, but because it's embossing, you can't quite see it with the Versamark. I wanted to make sure it was nice and thick. So I needed to trim this down slightly. I was lucky enough to be able to get it out of this panel that I've cut the love die out of. I've raised this little strip, which will be over on my blog, all the measurements. I don't have it. I didn't actually write it down in my notes, but I will leave that over on my blog. So this card is pretty straightforward and simple. You just got to make sure people that your balloon's going up the right way. I think there is a card. I don't know whether I did a video on, no, I don't know. I don't think I did a video on it, but there is some cards where I'm going to use the rest of these embellishments, and I'm going to play with the cutter parts, the smaller cutter parts when they're shrunk down, because if they're 12 by 12, they're a great size. But sometimes I know from talking to some people that the smaller cutter parts, people will use the back side of the paper because the smaller cutter parts can be a little bit harder. I'm going to show you a couple of cards and we're going to use those up. So I had a request to do a whole heap of wedding cards, and I went, you know what is sitting on my desk right now would be perfect. So that's what we did. So I had 2 embellishments that I saved, or embossed die cuts that I saved, and as you can see here, I've cut them in half. I don't want to waste that beautifulness. And you can see how I've placed it all down. Basically, you don't want any sharp edges. You want to hide that. Even if it's another die cut in front, you just don't. It's simple to do. It's simple. You just play around with it, If you can see it, move it a little bit more. Done. This is some clear crystal mix from Paper Rose, of course, and I'm just going to add them here and there. I just thought it needed a little bit of bling. You know, it's me, people. So I will leave a link down below to these papers and everything. If you like what you see, hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell, and you get notified of when I upload next. That's it from me. Take care. Talk soon. Bye.